Hey everyone. Before we get into today's topic, I just want to say a quick little happy birthday to Louis Armstrong. He was born on this day in 1901, which means he would have been 123, just for all you guys out there that like him. But yeah, today's topic is Asbury Park Memory Talk. That's what I meant to say. And first I want to do a quick little recap about the videos I made last week, the late night session folk songs. That was recorded at my aunt's beach house, of course, at the Jersey Shore, and and the Wellerman one was recorded at the bay that's right near it. You could just walk from that to there. It was recorded. I found out the bay was called Barnegat Bay, and I wanted to record that song there because if you watch the Wellerman video by Nathan Evans, it's kind of at a place that reminds me of that bay. And we started going there to her beach house 5 years ago on like July 23rd of 2019. And yeah, yeah, and then we were gonna go in 2020, but she didn't have enough space for us, so I went to Ocean City, New Jersey instead. And then in 2021, we returned to her beach house, and also in 2022. And we were gonna go last year, but we did Asbury Park instead. And this year we went to her beach house the same time we were in Asbury Park, only a year later. But and we were gonna go to her beach house last year. I was thinking like maybe if we go to her beach house last year, but when we leave, we take a little quick stop at Asbury Park and then go home. But because she didn't have enough space for us, we just had a vacation there instead. And we spent the night at this little kind of old Victorian, now hotel in Ocean Grove. And it was fun. Ocean Grove and Asbury Park are right next to each other. Like you can, like you really walk from one place to another. It's kind of a little hard to explain. But yeah, and now I want to explain why it was my idea to go there. Why I wanted to go. So during the summer of 2022, I discovered not Clarence Clemens, big man himself, but some of his solo albums, and I came across one that I now have. I ordered, well, my mom ordered it for me with my Christmas money last year in January, and it's with his solo band, the Temple of Soul, live in Asbury Park. It came out in '02, but it was recorded September 2nd and 3rd of '01 at the Stone Pony, and that's what made me want to go to the Stone Pony. I mean, just kind of want to get my picture taken by it, not really see an event there. And I got my picture taken in front of it on the first night we went, and it was awesome. And we had dinner at a restaurant. I forgot what it was called. A restaurant that was kind of right near the Stone Pony. And this is a kick-ass CD. Eventually, I want to do a CD promotion like I did with the John Mellencamp one. And I kind of just want to read the liner notes real quick before I dive into more Asbury Park memories. The Uptown Horns are on this. I discovered them from the Rolling Stones because they played with the Rolling Stones on the Steel Wheels tour, 1989 and 90. And they are Crispin, I don't know how you say his last name. It's spelled C-I-O-E. It's either, I guess, C-O or C-I-O. On alto and baritone sax. And then Larry Etkin on trumpet, Bob Funk on trombone, Arno Hecht on tenor sax. And of course, Clarence on saxophone, percussion, and vocals. Of course, Clarence plays tenor sax. He also played a bit of Barry sax. He got an alto sax for his 9th birthday when he wanted electric trains, and then he switched to tenor sax. One of his tenor sax influences was from a guy named Curtis King. He was like an R&B guy. Of course, Clarence on sax, percussion, vocals, and then the bass player the guy on bass and vocals is Steve either Argy or Argy. I don't know how you say it. It's spelled Argy. I don't know exactly how he pronounces it. And a guy named John Colby on piano synthesizers and vocals. A guy named Keith Cronin on drums. A guy named Thomas Diaz on percussion and vocals. Randy with an I, which means it's a girl. Randy Fishenfield on violin and vocals. Billy Levacy on guitars and vocals. Now his last name is spelled like Live said. That's kind of how I thought it was. But then I came across this interview. I didn't really watch the whole thing. And the guy said it like Levacy. And then I kind of figured that was right. And then Paul Petit on organ synthesizers and vocals. And the songs now, eventually when I make this CD promotion of this, you'll hear what they sound like. But I just kind of want to tell you what they are and who wrote them. First one is, because it says what they are and who wrote them. First one is Washington Bond, written by Clarence, Jimmy Dillon, Dan Shea. Small Things, written by Bruce Springsteen. CC Angel, written by Clarence. The CC is spelled just two C's. I think he's talking about himself as an angel, kind of like the caption logo that you see. And Saxon City, written by Clarence and John Colby, the piano player. Heat of a Full Moon, written by the guitarist Billy Levacy and a guy named Dave Graham. One Step, Two Step, written by Clarence, Jimmy Dillon, and Kevin Russell. Jumpstart My Heart, written by Desmond Child, Jeff Kent, and Ellie Greenwich. Living Without You, written by Clarence and piano player John Colby again. Father John, written by Clarence and John Colby. Don't Walk Away, written by Clarence, Jimmy Dillon, and Kevin Russell. Paradise by the Sea, written by Bruce. That's an instrumental. I think the version on here is actually better than his. It was an outtake from The River in 1980. And then Road to Paradise, written by Clarence, Jimmy Dillon, and Dan Shea again. And then Saving Up, written by Bruce. And he sings on some of these tracks. He actually has a good voice. He had a really good sax tone and a really good voice. And he was known for growling on the sax. He was the first one to get me into the sax. And apparently he was a really nice guy. Like he was a real sweetheart. And you couldn't resist looking at him. He had one of the brightest smiles. One of the brightest smiles I'm not trying to be offensive, but one of the brightest smiles in Black history. But yeah, I thought he was like really cute and cuddly. My mom at one point said he looks like a big teddy bear. He was basically a human teddy bear, kind of in my opinion. And also because, his nickname is the Big Man. And Jupiter is the biggest planet. That's where I also describe him as the human Jupiter. And he was 6'5", weighing like 240 pounds. Makes sense. And just real quick, Jupiter and Neptune are my favorite planets. But there's a Volume 2 album of this. Features like more songs. Some songs that aren't on this, some that are not. And I don't have that one. But I thought this is a kick-ass live album, and I will do a CD promotion of it sometime in the future. And then you'll hear more of my CDs eventually. But I called the vacation at Asbury Park week, and it was a hell of a time. But there are some downs about it. I'll get to that in a moment. And I met a couple of musicians that were playing on the boardwalk. Just talking about boardwalk. Just one quick thing. In 2020, I said my aunt didn't have enough room at her beach house, so I went to Ocean City, New Jersey instead. I got to discover that boardwalk. But I think the Asbury Park one is better. That's kind of all I wanted to say. But I met a couple musicians on the boardwalk. And I met one guy, I can't remember what he said his name was. He was black. He was had all these percussions with him. And I got to talk with him a little. He said he played with Bruce in 73 in the early days. How about that? And yeah, and when I saw the Stone Pony, it said Southside Johnny was coming in. You saw that picture, was coming to play there at the summer stage Saturday, September 2nd, and also on the convention hall. You probably saw his name in that little marquee. And yeah, when I would walk in through if you were taking a walk on the boardwalk, you could walk in through the convention hall, and when you would walk through there, you would walk by the Paramount Theater, and at one point in 2009, Bruce played there, and he played all the whole Darkness on the Edge of Town album from '78. He played all the songs. I don't really know why. I never really found out. But yeah, it was really cool, and it had some posters of who played there. I think it said Ray Charles played there in '72, and the Doors played there in '68. My brother Grady is a big Doors fan. He also likes the Stones. Of course, he loves Prodigal Son. He loves You Can't Always Get What You Want. But he knows a lot about the Doors. He knows more about the Doors than I do, and he's more of a fan of them than I am. Not that I hate them, but I respect them. But I guess I just don't like them as much as other groups. Yeah, Grady knows a whole lot about the Doors. He's kind of trying to look like Jim Morrison with his hair. Yeah. And yeah, Asbury Park was awesome. Yeah, it said the Doors played there in '68. Ray Charles played there in '72. That's what I saw. One fun fact, Ray Charles has been dead for 20 years. He died on June 10th, and I was born exactly 10 days later on the 20th, 2004. How about that? That's a very interesting fact about me. Not a whole lot of people know that. If you're a Ray Charles fan and watch my channel, then that's something you should definitely know. But yeah, and another group I'm a big fan of who also play at the Stone Pony. They're really underrated. Let me know in the comments if you heard of them. They did the soundtrack for Eddie and the Cruisers, John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band. John Cafferty has played at the Stone Pony many times. You can even check some of those videos out on YouTube. I haven't really seen them all. And in the Beaver Brown Band, there's a black sax player who's like a minor league Clarence, and his name is Michael Antunes. And they did a tribute. There's a tribute video that they did to Clarence. It was live, and Michael Antunes talks about how good of a human being he was, and how much he missed him. He was literally crying on stage. You probably could see his tears. But yeah, and I think on our second night, our second day at this moment, we went to there's an Andy Warhol memorial tree, which I'm surprised he was there because I never really knew that he was from Asbury Park. I don't even know where he's from. I haven't got the chance to look him up yet. But because usually if we go on vacation, I take some of my stuffed animal crew with me. I'm not going to show you all of them, but I'm just going to show you the one I took with me to the memorial tree. Now, he's not really a stuffed animal, but he's a painter plush doll. Picasso. Because Picasso was a painter too. He wanted to come see it. I loved it. I kind of know a couple facts about Picasso. He kind of mistreated women. Like, he kind of wasn't very nice to them because, I guess they weren't doing what he wanted, and he kind of had lots of girlfriends. And I guess his last wife stood up to him. But I always say it to everyone when I show him. My Picasso's a little sweeter. He likes me and a lot of other girls just the same. He loves my mom because my mom loves to do art. She's very artsy. She can sculpt really well. And when we returned from the tree, the memorial tree, back to the boardwalk, I come across another guy who was playing. This time, he was a guy with a Telecaster. It was kind of not really race green like mine, but kind of the yellow blackguard, kind of like Bruce Springsteen, Keith Richards. And he said his name was John. He said he's been playing for 51 years. And when I first walk over to say hi to him, he immediately noticed my Picasso doll. He was like, "Oh, what's that?" I guess he kind of thought it was cute. He noticed me right away. Yep. I think he kind of like how I see. Sometimes I see things and I get kind of curious. I guess he kind of felt the same way, Picasso. And I think another thing that we did on our second night there was we went to this. I forgot what the store was called, but it was, I guess, right on the boardwalk, and I think it had a picture of Bruce on the wall. I can't exactly remember, but it was just really, it had a lot of cool things there. I got an Asbury Park patch, which is on my desk, but I don't really feel like digging it up right now. But one thing I want to show you, this is really cool. I have these cool table and teaspoons on this chain. They're all kind of guitar shaped. This one here is supposed to be like an acoustic guitar. And this one is supposed to be a lefty bass. And this one is a mandolin. And then you got a banjo and a ukulele. Yeah, I saw these and I couldn't resist. I thought they were really cool. So yeah. Yeah, I think I got these on our second night there. And then on the third night, now this is this was the part where I said earlier it was kind of a downer. When we were, one quick thing. Now I know this is a normal thing and everybody gets it. Anxiety. My anxiety tends to go up on like change of season. And at one point in 2020, my mom described it as seasonal depression. And it was really going up during this little vacay, and it usually happens when like not really kind of change of seasons and also change in the light, and it gives me mind tricks that have nothing to do with change of seasons. And I don't really want to explain all of the mind tricks I have because that's not really what this video is about. And so yeah, on the third and final day, that's when like it really kicked up. And I kind of was feeling really off that day. And I remember the night before that, I actually barely got any sleep. Of course, and I guess the day before I actually got to spend a little more time on the beach. And on this day, my mom was kind of, I guess she had a headache and she kind of had to stay back at the little hotel. And then my dad and my brothers went to the beach and I kind of stayed back too. And then my mom and I kind of talked about it. And I actually had an anxiety attack. Like I was literally in tears. And this is kind of an emotional part to talk about. And as my mom was explaining things, I was kind of like dozing off, kind of falling asleep. And then she kind of like helped me with a little nap and explained some boring stories. Whenever I have trouble sleeping, I try to think about like these boring math facts that you see. Like all these algebra things that say like x minus y minus blah blah blah. And my mom just kind of helped me explain some stories about that. About when she was dealing with that once. And yeah. And then I woke up and I was feeling a little better. My stomach was still kind of going up and on the rise. My heartbeat was on the rise. But then I kind of just took a walk on the boardwalk, and that's when I got my picture taken inside the stone pony, and then that's when it kind of started. Now this is where it gets better. This is where it started to get better. And yeah, and when I was just walking around on the boardwalk, I come across another guy who's just walking, and he has this little daughter who's doing lots of cartwheels. She was literally the goat, kind of like, I guess, the second generation Simone Biles. Like she was doing lots of cartwheels. One guy even went, "Hey, nice cartwheel." But yeah, this guy was cool. I forgot what he said his name was, but he said his uncle played trombone with the Asbury Jukes. This is just a kazoo, but I kind of like to use it for... I'm not actually a trombone player. I just use it for lip sync trombone. If I had to play any brass instrument, I can't really play any of them. It would be the trombone. But yeah, and I was even telling him about Clarence and all the Stone Pony related things, and he was saying Clarence rules. And when I got my picture taken in the Stone Pony, I was wearing that Clarence Collage T-shirt. You probably seen it in some of my videos, in the one where I cover Crawling Back to You on keyboard. Yeah, and one guy was like, "Oh, the big man," and yeah, it was a hell of a time. And when I was there, that's where I bought the shirt that you see right here. And that night was fun. A little in the afternoon, we went to this arcade place. I'm going to show you the pictures eventually. It was called Silver Ball Retro Arcade. It had this kick-ass games. I'm going to get to them in a moment because I eventually went back there. We left from that eventually, from the arcade game eventually, and then we went to this diner. It was a vegan diner. It was called Dale's and Dullops, I think. And it was this 50s diner. It was very 50s looking. It had a Carnival of Souls picture in it, and it had a lot of cool, really cool like ice cream treats, milkshakes. I put a link for all you Instagram users out there who support my channel, a link so you can see what all their treats and foods look like. Because I don't use Instagram, but for some of you that do, you can do that. And yeah, it was a hell of a time. Really cool, and they played all these 50s music, including remember they played Fats Domino's song "Be My Guest," and they played a couple Buddy Holly songs, and they played the Elvis song "I Got Stung." Yeah, they played lots of these cool oldies, and I told the guy who was serving us, his name was George, or he was our waiter. And I'm a Buddy Holly fan, and he's the reason why I have this type of glasses. Now that's also something you don't know about me, but now you do. And after that diner, we returned to the arcade place, and while we're walking, we come across another musical guy. Now this guy was I guess he was a rapper. My brother Grady noticed that he and his mate were producing a record, so we immediately turned and check him out. And I meet him. I forgot what he said his name was. I told him that I'm a musician. I play lots of instruments. I can figure certain songs out in seconds. And he gave me a high five and was like, "You're a genius." And he was cool. He was kind of like a Denzel Curry looking guy. Of course, it wasn't him, but he kind of looked like all the rappers out there that you see with the long dreadlocks. And then we returned to the arcade, and the arcade was awesome. It had all these pinball games. It had a Ted Nugent one, guitar player Ted Nugent, and it had a Pirates of the Caribbean one, and it had lots. It had a Pac-Man and a Miss Pac-Man. It had a little race car game. It had a skee ball thing, and it had a Hoop Fever. It had oh my god, it had a lot of things, and it even had this cool little baseball game called Bat a Ball. It was literally a cool batting game, and it was just, oh my god, it was awesome. And all this, doing all this, meeting the guy who said his uncle played with Southside Johnny and the Jukes, going inside the Stone Pony, getting my picture taken, going to that 50s diner, going to the arcade. That made my anxiety. My anxiety was literally gone, literally by the time I was doing all that. And I almost get tears of joy when I think of how well the final night in Asbury Park ended. And it was literally all these pinball games. There was even a Godfather one, from the movie. The Mafia movie. And it was just kick-ass. And it had this Hoop Fever game, which I played toward the end. And I was really killing it with skee ball and that Hoop Fever. And by the next day, right before we left, my arms were literally sore the day we left. My arms were sore from shooting all those hoops and doing all the skee ball things. And it was just, oh my god, it's just kick-ass place. And I'm thinking about writing a song. I don't have all the words out yet, but I'm thinking of calling the title Asbury Arcade. Yeah, I mean, it had all of these really sick games, and there was literally an Elvis sculpture in there too. Yep. And That's pretty much all there is to say, guys. Uh, Asbury Park Memory Talk. It was the hell of a vacation. I love the Silver Ball Retro Arcade. Love the 50s Diner in Ocean Grove. Stone Pony, Convention Hall. And when I was taking a walk, pretty much around the time where I was going to the memorial tree, I actually walked by the Wonder Bar. I didn't really get to get my picture taken by it or go inside it, but walked right by it. I hope to perform in all those places: the Stone Pony, the Wonder Bar, the Convention Hall. Hope to perform there at some points. Yeah, that's it. It's the Asbury Park Memory Talk. Again, I almost get tears of joy when I think of how well the third and final night ended. It was awesome. Thanks. Have a good night.
Similar.
Hi, I'm Claire Gutridge, and welcome to Claire's Corner. Today is John Lyon's birthday, known as Southside Johnny. He turns 75 today. He's an singer-songwriter and longtime friend of Bruce Springsteen. He is the frontman of the E Street Band's similar group Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes. He has long been considered as the godfather of the New Jersey sound. John Bon Jovi has acknowledged Southside Johnny for his reason for singing.
Possibly see some snow next week.
Hi, I'm Claire Gutridge, and welcome to Claire's Corner. Today is Clarence Clemens' birthday. Also known as the Big Man, he was an American saxophonist known for being in Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band from 1972 until he died from a stroke in 2011, age 69. When he was 9, his father gave him an alto saxophone for Christmas when he wanted an electric train set and paid for music lessons. He later switched to the tenor saxophone, which those sax solos can be heard on Born to Run and Jungle Land. In the song 10th Avenue Freeze Out, that's when they say, and I want you guys to say this with me, when they made that change uptown and the big man joined the band.